Greg Orloff with IIoTWorld, and I have the privilege of being at Emerson Exchange this week. And I'm here with the Chief Sustainability Officer, Mike Train, and Chief Technology Officer, Peter Zornio.
Great to be here.
Great, Chief. Thank you for the invitation, and thanks for hosting us. Just kind of the first line of questioning that I wanted to dig a little deep and peel the onion back, gentlemen, is, you know, the United States now has the 2050 goals for sustainability and net zero. And you've told us this week that Emerson has got some even tighter goals that you're putting on yourselves, you know, for your organization, your supply chain, and things along those lines. So talk to me about the technologies that are going to be leveraged. What is Emerson doing to make that a reality?
Well, let me tell you what our goals are, so we can kind of put that on the table for discussion.
Perfect.
So as you indicate, the world and the United States have picked 2050 as the net zero. That's for the world to hold the line at the 1.5 degrees Celsius mark. That's the Paris Accord and all the follow-up work that's taking place there. We did publish our own set of goals, as many companies are doing right now. I think there's almost 4,000 companies that have expressed their own set of net zero related tech targets. We have a net zero target design for 2045 across all of our scopes of emissions and how that plays out. Obviously, we have our own facilities. We have 200 large facilities, about 700 facilities globally that we want to make our improvements in, our enhancements in, go find our energy efficiency. We can follow up on that in a moment. And then, of course, we have the value chain part, right? The supply chain, our customers, you know, and even beyond that, the impact we can help other customers make in their own operations. So, and I think that's where a lot of the technology pieces are going to come to play.
Yeah, for our own, goals in terms of our own scope 1 and scope 2, we're doing, frankly, a lot of things that a lot of other companies are doing to achieve that, right? So we're looking at sustainable electricity. We're going through on what we call these treasure hunts within all of our facilities and just identifying energy saving things, whether it's lights. In some cases, it may be an entirely different kind of process or piece of equipment, replacing a high energy consumer with a lower energy consumer. So there's not, I wouldn't say, like a dramatic technology that we're leveraging, for our immediate shorter term goal. I mean, it's just a lot of hard work with the existing technology that's around today. As Mike mentioned, really, I think the bigger impact we as Emerson can make is what we're able to do for our customers. And we call that scope 4, although that's not necessarily an official term. With Mike
official,
it is.
Right.
Inside of Emerson, it's become an official term because they know exactly what we mean by that. And that's all the technologies we bring to our customers, many of whom are pretty big energy consumers. And industry is a large chunk of the the carbon footprint in the globe. And so all the technologies we bring in terms of sensing, analytics, everything that really comes under that broad heading of digital transformation that we've started to use lately.
So can you give us a peek behind the curtain? What are some of those examples? I know we've watched this evolution of sustainability over the past 10 years or so, and the term's been out there. You went with lighting, you went from incandescence in the Edison age through fluorescence and CFLs, and now we're into LEDs. So what are some of those other things, those low-hanging fruit that Emerson can help clients achieve?
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, there's probably 2 case studies, right? There's the brownfield and existing operations. How do we improve those? And Peter can talk to all of those technologies in a moment. And then, of course, there's kind of the green field, green assets, right? Things like around deploying wind, deploying solar, deploying storage, creating a hydrogen ecosystem, deploying carbon capture. So we have that whole space that we're also spending a lot of time on the automation side. But maybe talk to a little bit what we can do with existing facilities.
And even on greenfield, I would say with some of the brand new processes that are coming out that are more sustainable processes, some of whom are here at the Exchange today to talk about what they're doing. PureCycle is someone we've talked about quite a bit and is a great example of somebody who's pioneering a whole new sustainable process with a 100% recyclability of plastic to virgin material. With them, great grassroots plant, but we're working with them to start up a lot faster, more efficiently, in this concept that their words they call born digital, right, to where they actually see the benefits that way. With brownfield, I mean, there's a lot of things. So I guess I'll work from the measurement up. We have new sensor technology that we use for things like optimizing the steam systems in a facility. A lot of just about every industrial process uses steam in one way or another, and that's a big energy consumer. We have sensors that look at other things like corrosion, which maybe isn't specifically a sustainability technology, but certainly is an environmental one when you start looking at leaks.
Lead to it, right?
Yeah,
Leaks
it can,
detection,
right, it can
yeah,
lead to
absolutely.
problem. So we have a whole set of sensors that we've developed that are easy to install, typically wireless, easy to put into a brownfield. But then probably the bigger deal is the actual software and applications that go with those. So something we call EMIS, Energy Management Information System. A lot of times these facilities don't even really know where their big energy consumers are. I mean, they have an idea, but actually getting visibility of that, step one, and then step two, putting in application software, AI, if you will, or other type analytics that actually look at the different process conditions and enable them to optimize what their energy consumption
Even
is.
the act of making that visible to management teams puts it in front of them, and then they start to think about it. They can build their culture around that, all those kind of things.
Right, so build a baseline and then just try and form that. You know, you touched on a really interesting point, and I listened to the session last night, and it talked about PureCycle, and you have some fantastic examples there. I know they're building a brand new greenfield facility. His passionate leadership was a huge piece of that too,
Yeah.
and it sounds like it's infiltrated that organization. Mike, how do you reach other small, medium-sized enterprises, startups, you know, entrepreneurial efforts in this country? How do you get them to embrace this type of a mindset?
You know, I think there's lots of things going on in that space. Obviously, getting out and having the meetings, having the convening, working some things. Part of our strategy is our Greening With strategy. Greening with Emerson, we talked about that a little bit. Where, you know, you're trying to get through to government officials that can have an impact. We talked about permitting last night, right?
Sure.
We need some help there if we want to get things to happen faster, for example. You know, working with research groups that are kind of trying to tackle some of the hard to abate things and connecting you. We have the ability, because we're all over the world, to kind of connect some of that to customer base and work on that. Supply chain. Our supply chain, we have over 20,000 suppliers, right?
That's right.
And we'll gauge the first 100, and then we got to get to the rest of them, right? And bringing the message to them. A lot of those companies are not huge enterprises. They're small, medium enterprise. We're trying to share everything we know with them. They share with us. You know, this, and I think that's the fun part of sustainability. Is everybody's for it. Everybody can learn from each other. It's not so proprietary, and we're all trying to figure out what that journey looks like.
No, it's an interesting path and interesting evolution as it's going. You touched on the political side of things too. I mean, Emerson's a large organization. That's, I use that term loosely. You're an 800-pound gorilla, right? How do you approach a nation at the nation state level? I mean, how do you get other countries to embrace these types of goals?
Well, you know, this one issue is one where almost 200 countries have come together and declared they're going to have a plan. They're going to have a net zero for their country. So I think all the governments are open to the conversation, and especially when we get to come and have kind of that technology perspective about how far, let's say, we can push the efficiency standards, you know, in the next, you know, for the next 5 to 10 years, right? So giving them some sense of what's possible there, and showing examples. Again, if you bring an example from one part of the world, bring it to a different part of the world, kind of use that as a kind of an explainer, if you will. So we're doing a lot of that. We have a lot of history in these countries because we've been operating in many of them. You know, we have a good track record. We set a high bar for ethics and all those other kinds of things. So we have this advisory opportunity, I think, in a lot of these different places.
It's exciting. I mean, exciting time. So to that point, what are you most excited about? Like, I mean, from a technology standpoint, which one do you get up in the morning and you're like, this is going to be outstanding?
Yeah, well, I would break that into camps. So I would say there's the technology we bring to bear, okay? But also, we can't ignore the fact that there's huge progress being made with just new technologies in general, whether it's hydrogen or a process like PureCycles or carbon capture and sequestration. I mean, I sit there as a chemical engineer and I'm like, wow, it's a great time to be a chemical engineer, you know, to work on all these new processes and figure all those things out. So, you know, to me, I think we're very excited about tracking those and making sure our portfolio is going to match as hydrogen evolves, as, you know, an energy source, and you know, Mike already talked about solar and wind, and making sure that our portfolio is keeping up with some of these really mega changes that are happening in terms of the actual process technology and ways that we're generating energy.
Our portfolio is working now. I mean, we address a lot of it, but we're finding as we get into new applications or different pressures, or now we need to transport CO2. What does that mean? You know, try to figure those things out. Yeah.
There's a lot of technological pieces to that. Talk to me about hydrogen, because I know that hydrogen's a topic that it's been around for a long time, and it's kind of gone up and down, and it seems like it's getting a lot of momentum again to move forward. So maybe give me your overview of what a hydrogen economy or a hydrogen process would look like.
So I think one of the biggest challenges still hanging around in hydrogen isn't so much generation as it is actually storage and transportation, and there's a lot of work and thought going into that. They've actually, from what I've read and seen, they've actually got the generation part. There's been leaps and bounds of efficiency that's been able to go there, but you still got to get it to where it's going to be used. So some of the early applications where you might blend it into a natural gas infrastructure, okay, that's kind of a no-brainer, right? Where you already are seeing hydrogen fuel cells being used. Plug is a great example of a company in that hydrogen economy, also a customer, right? Okay, that makes a lot of sense. For the next big step change, I think the real thing people are working with is getting large amounts of hydrogen to where it needs to be used, whether that's using ammonia or just compressed hydrogen or whatever it may be. And the challenge there is not losing too much of the energy that's in the hydrogen in the methods that you're using to store and transport it.
It's the use cases, I think, that are the important pieces Peter references here. So we're seeing like the agricultural equipment, I think is only a year or two away. We're going to have hydrogen-powered agricultural equipment, which is, something that is a delivered fuel situation. Now we'll be delivering the hydrogen to the situation. That's great. I think using hydrogen for long-range trucking is kind of, the molecules kind of being thought of as the right solution in that case. Obviously batteries or something else would be a different solution in a different case. Transportation, though, I think figures prominently. And then the hard to abate stuff, we need that super high temperature that today, frankly, comes from coal and other things. Hydrogen probably can be that fuel to help that, so making steel and making cement or something.
Yeah, and a process that needs that level of temperature. But another thing that more directly affects us on hydrogen is hydrogen's also a tricky thing to deal with from the point of view that
it's not tricky, it's just friendly.
It's got material.
It's pretty tiny though.
It's tiny, and by tricky, you have to have the right materials. Okay, so that's an area where actually our portfolio has been very much designed for hydrogen from the beginning, because some of the industries we serve, they use hydrogen inside their processes already today. But we've also had a few new products that we've developed. We have a hydrogen lab that we have to test products out against hydrogen application. So, that's
an dispensing use case now, where, there's a transaction going on, right?
Yeah. So that's a good example of where, we have to make sure our portfolio is set up for that transition as it's happening.
So you see fuel cell technology being leveraged? Do you see more combustion on the hydrogen side? Which way do you think that scale's going to tip?
We could have a great debate on this here for a while, and
Probably not that much time.
Yeah, right. No.
I'm all for hydrogen combustion.
Yeah.
I think it makes a lot of sense because it leverages so much, right, from the past. But there are different people with different opinions.
Yeah. To me, it's very much the obvious molecule to use for when you need that high temperature, you need that high density storage. Like I was saying earlier, if we can figure out a good way to get those molecules there without losing too much of the energy along the way, I think that's one of the bigger challenges right now with hydrogen per se.
So gentlemen, tell me a little bit about AspenTech. I mean, it was a strategic initiative that you folks invited, you did an acquisition of them. How does that fit into the portfolio?
Well, from a sustainability perspective, very well. So Aspen's whole value proposition in their 30, 40 years of existence has been optimization, which starts with the tools they have for designing the most optimized plant, when you're actually building the plant, and then all the software they have that runs online, whether it's around advanced process control, optimum scheduling, whatever it may be. Traditionally, that software has been used by their customers to achieve optimum production or lowest cost, but that exact same software is perfect for saying, okay, now we want to optimize around carbon utilization and the lowest sustainability or the best sustainability footprint. So Aspen's a huge contributor and will be a huge contributor to our customers in their sustainability journeys.
Yeah, and they've gone to work on the models, especially when those new solutions, right? And all those kinds of activities.
Thank you both for the insight. Thanks for carving out some time to talk with us.
Sure, no problem.
Terrific. Thank you.